Alrighty, welcome everybody. We'll be starting in 2 minutes. Just if you have any guitar questions, you can ask away. I'm just going to be letting everybody come in. To give you a heads up, there's a few connection issues today. So if you're having issues on any platform, YouTube is the place to be. I'm on a different connection there. Okay, so... random notes. Alright, you're very welcome. We have a good tune in the house. That's cool. Okay. So if you want to drop a comment, let me know where you're tuning in from. That'd be cool to see. Currently going live on 4 different platforms. So let's get it going. Okay. So you're all very welcome. This is, I think, the 27th live stream we've done now, which is pretty cool in total. So you're all very welcome. And we're going to get into the questions. First question came in from Ken. It is, what is a root note? So Ken was saying that he's always hearing videos talking about the root note, but how do you identify it? So the setup with the root note is as follows. The root note is the lowest note that exists in a chord. And it's usually the same name as the chord. So here's an example. Let's say you're learning your notes. Say we learned this note here. Well, that's a G note. And if we go like, and you know what I'm going to do actually before I continue? I'm actually going to switch my switch these on. It might improve the audio quality. Just give me 1 second. I see William's in the house. What's up, William? Tuning from Vermont. That's cool. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to turn this off. Had insane connection issues today. Here we go. Okay, that should be better. Okay, root notes. A root note is the lowest note in a chord. So let's say you get this note. That's a G note. So we've open E string, F, F sharp, G. Now, when you think about your open chords, that is the lowest sounding note in your G chord. So that goes to show that in a G chord, the G note is the lowest sounding note. Now, it's at the root of the chord, like the way you'd have the roots of a tree. And for that reason, you can begin to think of G as the root note of G. Right? So that's an abstract way of explaining it. Now, in general, any chord name that there's been mentioned, like G, C, and D, like look at the lowest sounding note in a D chord. It's the D string. So it's the same setup. So D is the lowest note in D, G is the lowest note in G. You get the picture. So that's all you gotta know. So anytime you're playing chords now, Ken, you could think to yourself, well, what's the root note in this chord? And odds are it'll be whatever the name of the chord is. A minor, it's A. But, you know songs that have like C/B or G/B or D/F sharp? What those chords are, they're chords that have a different root note than belongs in the chord. So here's an example. We were saying that D is here. Well, if I get my thumb and I put it up here, that's an F sharp note. So that's now D with an F sharp bass. So you see the way, so if there's anything done to adjust your open chord, you've got to think what's the new name of the chord. And the way you find it is you go through the chord and go, well, what's that note? And by the way, if you're unsure, like, I would just Google what E, and you get F sharp, and then you just go D with an F sharp bass, and then you could cross-reference it. Google that chord shape, and then see, does the image of the chord shape in Google Images match the chord you have? So that's the first thing. Sorry, this is playing up here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's the very first thing, right? So we had the lowest note in the chord. We have what happens when you adjust it. How do you name it? You Google. How do you check it? You go to Google Images, right? It sounds very tactical and non-musical in a way, but it's a quick way to do it. Otherwise, you could be like hours going through YouTube looking up the theory of root notes and not find the one that you need. Right, so that's the first thing. Then the root note is also the first note of a scale, like the G major scale. That's the G note as well. In reality, like the root note can be used in so many examples, but that's the first thing I'd say. The root note is the lowest note of a chord. That's how you adjust it. And by the way, you can play around, like this is D. This is D with F sharp. D with G. That's nice. And then you have D with the B. I'm still playing a D chord, I just changed my fingers. Right, you could have D with the C sharp bass. Right, you have all these options. D with an E bass. Okay, and E bass is another word, like E is the root note. So, Ken, I hope that helps. Give it a go, put it into practice. Let me know if you have any questions from there. Give me a comment in the community by all means. Alrighty, the next question that came in is actually more of a, not a how-to, but it's what's my favorite acoustic guitar song to play. My favorite acoustic guitar song to play, I like Romeo and Juliet, that one. Just love that, the bit of Dire Straits. So that'll be one of my favorite ones. Okay, the next one, never learned scales or triads because I thought it was difficult. So I've been playing for 7 to 8 years. Okay, so the thing here is, scales and triads, if you have a use case for them, learn them. That's anything on guitar. Because the thing is, you wouldn't look up a dictionary and learn all the words in the dictionary. You would learn phrases, learn words that make phrases that you can go out and use in everyday life. That you can play songs, in sing-alongs, in group settings, all that stuff. So that's the thing. It's, do you have a use for scales or triads? Now, if you're wondering what are uses for them, I can give you a few. Scales, obviously, it can improve your musical ear. Like if I do this scale, this open C major scale, like, you see that, like, you begin to train your ears to hear gaps between notes, which can help you hear gaps between chords, which is linked to Ken's question, which we can do. So here's an example. Sometimes when I'd ask a student to play some chords and I turn my back, and then I'll name the chords back to them. And I do this just to demonstrate ear training, just to show, listen, this is what's possible. You can hear stuff and you can name it straight away. And how that works is, if I heard this, if I heard them play that, well, I'm hearing, I'm really focusing in on the root notes, Ken, the root notes of what belongs in those chords. And not only that, I can tell the gap between the root notes. Bum, bum, bum. When I can tell those gaps, I can put a name on that gap. So for example, if I hear bum, bum, the gap between those two notes, it's called an interval, and these are inside scales, and it is called a major second. also used at the beginning of Happy Birthday, right? And that's what's happening underneath the level of hearing chords and just being able to name them without seeing them. For ear training, it's based from the scales, and from the scales, I'm thinking of the intervals. And I know those intervals because I would have practiced the major scale first of all and named them. So listen, if you're looking to learn scales, yeah, that's a good use case for your ear training. The second use case for scales is to do around improvisation and melodies. So for example, if I was training myself to sing and play guitar, like the D major scale. I'd be training myself to play the notes so I can pitch them, so I can match my singing to the notes, and that way I'm training my ear. Otherwise I'm like singing and wondering if I'm in tune. But I'll feel the vibration between myself and the notes when I do that. So that'll be another use case for scales. Another thing around scales, and obviously improv, solos, major, like all that stuff, like Layla. That's a D minor pentatonic scale. Right, so it's pretty cool one to be able to do. Then the other one was triads. Okay, for anybody not familiar, triads is, I don't really talk about triads all that much in my lessons. I play them, but I don't talk about them, so forgive me if I make any mistakes here. A triad would be where you're just taking three notes, triad. And for your chords, you can play them as different versions of triads. So instead of doing G here, a chord is a group of notes that sound good together. At its most basic level, it's three notes you need. So these three notes make a G chord, this triad. The notes are G, B, and D. And if you look here, those notes, the G, B, and D, all exist inside our G chord here. So then you can break them into triads. You can do this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. See all the different triads, all the different ways you can play a G chord. So why would you want to do that? Again, we're going back to our use case, the thing about the dictionary. do you need to do this? I find it really useful. I don't know about you, but I've definitely been bored playing certain songs after a period of time. And I'm bored because it contains chords that I've played for years. And if you're getting bored playing any song that you've already been playing a lot of, well then you could turn it into triads. So if I did Brown Eyed Girl, so see the way that like I played, it sounded similar. I was doing G, C, G, D, but I was using triads. I was doing different versions of those chords. That's one. And then for funk playing, like I was going like, it allows you to really get into that snappy sort of funk rhythm instead of being just too much notes. TMI, too much information. So that's a bit about triads. And of course, you can test things out to see if you have a use case for them. That's the flip side of the coin. Learn a triad, put it into your songs, just see, do you like them? It doesn't. I remember getting into this trap where I was looking for extra stuff to learn when I got to a certain stage of guitar, and I was just looking for a next level that I didn't want to go to. So, give things a go, but you don't need to be learning like all the crazy jazz chords if you don't need them. Okay, so let's see. Next, we've two more questions here, and then I'm going to go to the chat, whatever questions have come in. So, question in from William around, I've tried a few times to play guitar. Oh no, sorry, 1 second. It's going to pop up here. Just give me 1 second. This one disappeared. Ah, yes, I remember now. Thanks for the comment, William, there. The other one came back to me. Okay, finger picking. So what happens if you play a 3/4 size guitar? I'm on one here, and you like to play finger picking. It doesn't have a pickup, but you want to play louder because using the pick sounds too harsh. Okay, so when it comes to picking louder, the first thing I'd say, but it's a drastic change just for loudness, is to get thicker strings. If you get thicker strings, there'll be a heavier gauge, which means they'll be louder. Like I have 11s on these. I know you can go up to 13s, but that comes at the expense then of, like, if you're playing barre chords, or you have a lot more pressing to do, or if you're doing bits of lead on 13s, it's so much harder than playing on 11s. But that is one thing you can do. I know you have the one guitar there. A long time ago, I got to a stage where I had 3 guitars, and I set up one guitar as my heavy strings, Thin Lizzy tuned down half step guitar, and then I had another guitar that's my Yngwie Malmsteen. It's like a shredder, gauge 8s on that one. So bad. Those gauge 8 strings lasted a very short period of time. But that was my light guitar, and then I'd be middle of the road. So if you had a spare guitar around that you wanted to dedicate or designate as your louder, thicker string guitar, that's another option. But then what could you do? So if I'm finger picking, okay, so like I'll play at a regular volume. Okay, now I'm going to louden it as much as I can. Now you'll notice that, like, the tone sounds fuller. The volume mightn't have gone up all that much. But the first thing I did was I went from just little brushes on the string with picking to really getting my, do you see here on the string? See the way my thumb is, like, you can almost see half my thumb underneath the string. That's how much I'm getting under it. The first time I was here. First time I was there, now onto this. Second time I'm down here. Now I understand as well, like, getting fingers in between strings can be a thing. So, like, just as much as you can. So get that in. And then my index is that much under the string. The first time it was that much under. So I'm really digging in underneath. And an exercise you could try, William, is just get your chord and get a D chord and rotate these around, because the fingers might get sore sticking on one chord for too long. But just really sit with the tone and the feel of getting in under the strings like this. And I'd experiment with this too. Like, do you see the way here that if I go too much, you hear that honky snap, which we don't want unless you're doing any chili peppers or anything, or funk. But so get right underneath the strings with your fingers. Okay, so that's what I'd say. Don't go out of song, just pick a couple of chords, and yeah, share a video in the community if you're experimenting with it as well, because I know when you're doing it yourself, it can be kind of hard to know if it's louder or not. You don't want to go getting a decimal reader or anything like that. So if you want to share in the community an A-B comparison, go ahead. I'd love to see a video. Yeah, so that's the tip. Okay. Yes, yeah. So when I pick harder, you're saying it sounds good, but when you do it, yeah, it's practice, yeah, 100%. And that's why one chord. And even, by the way, share a video, because at least then if I can see, I'll be like, oh, maybe it's the angle of something, but odds are a lot of the time it's this. It's if you tilt up too much, you get that snap. So just make sure you're getting that. And then just press the chord hard so it can allow it to sustain. That's the other thing. If you're picking hard, you want to hold down the chord hard so it has a chance to ring out. Hope this helps. That'll be something to put into your practice routine. Alrighty, and then we've one more. Brian, just a quick note, there's the classical position. I am only doing it this way because I'm streaming vertical. That's the only reason. I don't play classical this way at all. And I'd say there might be a trend on the internet of everyone playing this way anymore. But no. If I'm playing, it's generally like this. Like, just for to be able to move around. Like if I was here, I have too much hold under the guitar to do. Well spotted. I should carry a warning on this. Warning, I do not play this way all the time. Nice, William, class. Using triads with some variation. Deadly. Okay, so then the next question came in here from Brian, who's saying, I can't seem to get my rhythm down. I've tried tapping my foot and everything. Okay, so in getting your rhythm down, the first thing I'd say is start with the basic beats. Like, you want to think of getting your strumming as like playing a video game with different levels. And like level 1 of this game, of strumming, of keeping time, of rhythm, is can you strum down with the metronome clicking? And by the way, I think you're on the call, so if you want to say yes or no there, I'm watching, okay? If you want to say yes or no, just how are you with the metronome if you put a metronome on or a drum track and just strum downs? Is that okay? That'll be one thing I'd ask. And I'm going to check in here. Heath, how are you doing? Yeah, I might sing something in a while. I'm not singing Wagon Wheel though. I don't do that one. Okay, so let's see. Question. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's great. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so Brian, with the metronome, just down strums, make sure you can do that, and make sure you're tapping your foot to the metronome. That's step 1 of everything. Can you tap the foot in time with the metronome and just feel it? And then 1 down strum, right? And then from there, you'll find that like just start adding your up strum. And you'll count 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, you're saying these on the metronome's going the whole time. And the up, you don't have to think about it as like some big new thing. Just do your 4 downs. 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3, and 4. The and slips in the middle of both of them. I would do that, right? I would do that on the G chord, on the C chord, on its own for a while, and you got to get comfy with each chord shape with your strumming, with the metronome. Do that with G, C, E minor, and D. And then, when you feel you're comfy on them, start letting them talk to each other. See, what do you like going from G to D? What do you like going from E minor to C? Okay, so that would be the key thing here. And give that a go, and then come back and let me know how it's going. Okay, that'll be the next step. But remember, this is about getting comfy, and getting comfy requires time. And for that, stay away from singing and playing, stay away from fast songs, stay away from everything else. Just 1 chord, 1 job. Stick with the metronome, and 60 BPM is the best tempo to start with. 60 BPM. Okay, 4/4. Okay, you need anything, pop comments, all right? Now, let's go around here. We got different questions coming in. I'm going to do around here. Okay. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Why does a semi-acoustic need a battery to be operated by amp and not the electric guitars? I'm gonna try this one out. I'm not the best at technical guitar hardware-y stuff. I just kind of spent all my years practicing and playing. and get better teaching. But okay. I'm going to hazard a guess here. Might be wrong. Probably wrong. But in the semi-acoustics, there's like harder. There's a preamp. The settings. How would you say, the high, low, mid, and the different volume settings are in the guitar, and they would need to be battery powered. So that's why you'd have that on a semi-acoustic. And then on an electric, you don't have those controls on the guitar, you have those on the amp. And the amp needs to be powered. So I think that hopefully that goes somewhere towards answering it. Jeez, I was sweating there. All right, so let's see other questions. Okay. Okay, Brian, I found a website for Irish Scottish folk song. They say to tune the guitar to DAGDAD. Oh yes, DAGDAD. Okay, I'm gonna get into this. Okay, I'll go to DAGDAD here. Okay. So, DAGDAD. It's a traditional Irish tuning. Now, Brian, if you're seeing the chords written like D, G, E minor, and A, do those first, just so you get the chord progressions into the fingers. DAGDAD is the tuning used a lot in traditional Irish music, and it is exactly how the strings are meant to be tuned. So it's called DAG, so that's D-A-G, which means this E, and I'll do this now. That E is dropped to a D. And the B is dropped to an A. I'm doing it by ear here, but you can do it with the tuner. So that's D, A, then we G, DAG, and then we DAD, D, A, that's E right now, then you drop that to a D. That gives this nice ringing sound. Nice. Gives those nice type of chords, and because they clang out, it's lovely to get some rhythmic stuff going. And with DAGDAD, there's I played it for a short while. I played with a class musician called Andries de Stack. He does a load of trad. I would play with him a good bit, and like there's a couple of shapes. Like you have a minor shape and you have a major. And you can, with those two shapes, you can do everything you want. Okay, and the strings will ring out. Damien Dempsey, the Irish artist, he plays a lot in DAGDAD as well. Now, I'm going to get back out of DAGDAD. I hope that helped. It does already use a sound more Irish for sure. And just speaking of the string thing, like there we go. Speaking of the thickness of strings, like if I was playing DAGDAD, I might put thicker strings on the acoustic because it's tuned down lower, so the strings are going to rattle more. You know, that'd be another use case. Okay. Now, any tips on using a stomp box? Yeah, sure. Remind me again, is a stomp box distortion, or is it a general name for a pedal? I know the term, but give me 1 second, I'm looking up here. How are you doing, Niall? It's good to see you on the call. Okay. Oh, those things. Got it. Okay, I'm going to start by saying I haven't used them, but I'll answer. Stomp box is the thing that if you're playing acoustic, it gives the bass note. Gives the bass note thump. You know. I'll share how I would use one because I had a go on one, but I haven't owned one. I wouldn't use it all the time. They can get old fairly quick after a while. Is it, Niall, if you want to comment as well, does it have a looper function or is it just a straight stomp box? I'd find songs, I would basically use it, if I was starting out, I'd keep the beat straight first. Like there's probably good fun to be had like doing cross rhythms like boom, boom, boom. But first just get the timing down. You know, Mumford and Sons strike me as a band. Yeah, kick drum. Mumford and Sons strike me as a band that would have used one a lot. But I would just say if I'm using it at a gig, I'll start with a low volume first just so I get used to it. And then I'd gauge the crowd as well. Some crowds will want it, some crowds mightn't respond to it. So I'd be all the time looking out into the crowd going, does the stomp box send them wild? And that's another thing, if they're going a bit too wild, I've done gigs where the crowd have gone to like pints being poured over the pedal board, that sort of stuff. And in those cases, I remove any sort of stimulants, musical stimulants from the crowd. So, you know, gauge the crowd. If it's getting too rowdy, pull it out. If you want to liven it up, include more. So yeah, that'll be about it. You know, it just be a thing of taking your time with it, and not to put it in every song. I'll be putting it in songs of around 80 BPM to maybe 120. The reason I'm saying those is if it's going too slow, you'll have extra work because if you're doing the work, the metronome, and that'll take your focus off singing and playing in the gig, you know, all for the sake of a stomp box. So, hope that helps with the stomp box. Yeah, geez man, post a video in the community of yourself trying it out too. I'd love to see it in action. I've seen plenty of artists with them, alright. Okay. Hey JS, how are you doing? Do I have any tips on how to hold a pick to strum? Yeah, 100%. Thumb goes across the side like that. Right, see how much of the pick is exposed? Not this much, but that much. Okay. Thumb is at the side. It isn't hooked like that. Watch out that we're not bending the thumb. And hey, if anybody's watching going, oh, I do that, it's okay. I've seen many players play very well with it. And it's a hard habit to undo. And sometimes it isn't worth your while. But if you're starting as a beginner, and you can nail this straight away, do it from the side, then get your index, see how much the index is up on the pick as well. So like, I'm really not exposing much of the pick. Okay, something like that. The other thing is, I'd use a pick. This Jim Dunlop one is an 88mm pick. Right, and you see it has a few sort of grippy things on it which can help. Those Tortex ones aren't great. The ones that are plasticky. I like the nylon ones for grip. So that would help. Okay, so I think that will help. Good, and give that a go. Now, and as usual, if you're catching these streams, you'll see, I'll say what I'll usually say. If you're making this a new habit that you want to build, one chord, just one chord, do down strums, put all your focus into, are you sure you're getting it right? 9 out of 10 beginners will start to hold it like this just in case they drop it. So just keep an eye. All right. How to build muscle memory faster. Put in the hours. I've no magic formula. It is basically hours and hours and hours. Repeat what you're doing, and don't waste time playing a load of a chord, because that won't build the muscle memory. So if you're doing chords and you're spending ages doing this, there's no muscle memory built there apart from that. So I'd take a 1 minute timer, do this for like 10 minutes. Okay. And that will build the muscle memory if that's chords. If it's scales, if it's anything like that, I'd agree. Like my guitar teacher, I asked him once about practice, long time ago, before the internet was a big thing, and he gave me the idea. He told me this is what he did, so I started doing it, and it unlocked everything for me. Like, I used to practice I used to practice guitar watching TV. I just practiced the movements, you know. How's my tone in that moment? I don't know, but I'm going to build my muscle memory, and I would have just sit. I just sit there building it. And if you're watching like a soccer match, if you're watching sports, TV, movies, if you're in an environment where you can do it, that's like an hour and a half that you can like get in your muscle memory that you wouldn't have done otherwise. So give that a go. The main thing is give this a go for a month and don't look for results quick. That's the thing. The muscle memory thing comes, but you gotta put in the time in the beginning. Okay. Yes, Wonderwall. Nice. Yeah. It'd be good for Wonderwall. The Sandbox and This Is the Life. Nice. Good. Yeah, those would be two good ones. Rock stuff as well. You know, like if you're doing Don't Stop Believing or anything like that. Maniac 2000 would be another one. Okay, how to do jamming. You're welcome, JS. How to do jamming. Okay, who are you jamming with? What are you jamming with? That's the first thing to decide. If you're trying to jam with people, trying to jam with CDs, trying to jam with YouTube, Spotify, they're different disciplines. So I'm going to guess and say that you're probably looking to jam with Spotify and stuff first. So pick a song that you know and other guitar players. Excellent, thank you. Okay, and are you on electric or acoustic? Anuska, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Just let me know if you're on electric or acoustic and I'll take a drink. Okay, perfect. Right, so if I'm jamming with other acoustic players, I'm gonna go, if I'm jamming with a friend that I've chosen to jam with, I'm going to go into it, and the key thing is I'm going to remind myself I'm going to make mistakes. That's the first thing, because we go from this environment of prepping and practicing and performing guitar into the unknown, into like, and when I started, I really went into the depths of jamming. When I started, I mean, I would sit in and I didn't know anything that was going on. If I played a chord, I'd be happy. And you got to be around the right people. And if you can have somebody there as I'll use the word mentor in this example, like as a guide, somebody who can prompt you stuff, who can like say, hey, chorus again, G's coming up here, C, and they show you their guitar, they're going like that. Like, that's so much more info than playing with somebody who's going like this. You'd know heads up there, but if somebody's kind of doing that stuff, and really when you think about it, Anushka, all you need is to get a good grasp on the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus of a song if you're jamming it with others. Because odds are the songs, they'll go around again like that. So it'll be this cycle of feeling uncomfy, of kind of getting to grips with the going, God, I kind of like this section. Then meeting the next section and going, oh my God, you know, and then that cycle will continue. That's going into the jam. Find a good person to look at their guitar neck. If you sit yourself down in a place where you can see the other player's guitar neck, that's huge. And if you can't do that, ask, can you? Because that's like everything. Visually, like, it'd be like putting a blindfold over you otherwise you can't see what anyone's doing. So make sure you can see them, and then you're seated, you're looking at them, and you know that'll be verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Sometimes I would have stayed out of intros as well. I was like, well, the intro happens once, I don't want to like stumble coming out of the block, so I'll just join in the verse. And then you get those, but the key thing after the jam, this is where the jamming musicians are made. Write down or keep a pen and paper with you or your phone during the jam. Write down every song that was done at that jam. Then go home and go back over them again. Now, think about this. Think about one player who'll show up at a jam, give it a go. And if they show up to the next jam and give that song a go, they'll kind of go, I think I played that one before. Versus the player who'll go home, who'll have the list, who'll learn the songs, and come back to the next jam with maybe 10 or 15 songs, revised a bit more, and sit in. You know, that's what adds up. It took me quite a while. I would have been lost for a good year sitting in on jams until I realised then, you know yourselves, like a lot of the same songs happen everywhere. So after a while then, it was just, I was kind of, oh cool, we're doing Wagon Wheel, or cool, we're doing whatever song, just to get used to them. And you know yourselves that chord progressions tend to repeat across songs. Like you've seen those 4 chords, 100 songs videos. Like when you've done a few of these, you're going to realise that a lot of the same stuff happens in a lot of songs. Alright, so I could talk about jamming forever, but I hope this helps. That'd be cool. Can power chords help with bar chords further down the guitar journey? Yeah, they can. Power chords are basically the first 2 notes of bar chords. So that's a bar chord. If I take this, the top 2 notes, I go like this. My power chords. I would be tempted to do power chords ahead of bar chords if I'm learning them, because that way you can get all the movements. Alright, so definitely they do help. So how to strum very fast without missing strings. Start on one chord, and remember that strumming fast is about control and not the swing of the strum. So watch, here's one way of, because sometimes we can think, I need to strum fast. Fast equals more effort equals bigger movements. But the bigger movements make us miss the strings and not strum so fast. So what you gotta do is, you gotta take one chord and start like this. Now watch, this is the way I wouldn't do it. I'm auto, like watch the distance, I'm exaggerating, but watch the distance I've gone past the strings to get back to the strings. So what you want to do is, you want to do, now, you get faster, but you check in with yourself. And by the way, you could look in the mirror or put your phone selfie cam on to check, is your hand moving away more? It should look the same. And check in, are you still holding the pick as loose as you did? Because when the brain thinks fast, it thinks more tension or more effort, which sends a message down here to grip the pick tight, which messes stuff up. So just keep it like that, okay? Because like if I do this, see the way I'm not leaving the sound hole area. If you're doing the who and stuff like that, yeah, you need that. All right, hope that helps. To put it in your practice routine, basically just take the one chord and just get to that point where you're still seeing you're in control, and it'll be like that thing of just, it'll start to shake a bit, but from there just stay at that tempo, stay at that speed with the pick held light and your strum under control. Stay at that for a while and then try a bit faster. Okay, so hope that helps. Yes, yeah, you can use C add 9 100%. C add 9 instead of C if you're having difficulties with C or you want to go faster. C add 9 works really well. How not to be scared to play in front of people. You're very welcome, Volcanic SID. How not to be scared to play in front of people. In the beginning, pick a friend or pick somebody, and just show up to play in front of somebody with that person. Right, so now you're not on your own. That's the first thing. Second thing is practice the absolute, practice the song until, if you had to go in front of a crowd and say, my name is Dave. I have no problem saying that if I was told that's the only thing I have to say. But if I was told, listen, you have to give a lecture about the hardware inside acoustic guitars, the wiring, tomorrow, after you say my name is Dave, I'd be nervous. But it's down to like, I don't know, I'm not prepped. So if it's something that you can do easily on guitar, start with that. That's the key thing. The nerves sometimes can come from not having practiced it enough. That's the first thing. So practice it. And then the second thing is, as well as practicing the song, practice the performance so that it doesn't feel any different than if you're practicing in front of a crowd. So as an example, if I was practicing at home, I might go, hey everybody, I'd be talking to the wall, talk to the dog, like, hey everybody, how are you doing? I'm playing this song, and just hit into it. Okay? The key thing here is, if you're nervous playing in front of others, or you think you might be, it's to get rid of any gaps that can occur from the length of time before you get up and play and when you start playing. It's that space, that's where the thought gremlins come in. That's when the inner dialogue starts. I had a student once who was very nervous playing in front of others, and it was a big question mark whether they'd play for the student performance. And they're quite young. And what I did was I put them on first in the concert, and I spoke with their parent, and my goal was, I'd seen enough students sit down and be nervous ahead of going playing, but this student was extra nervous. So if this is you, this can help. And what I did was, once they came in the door of the venue, they came in just before it started, like just before. So this person had no time to think in their head. And then I took their guitar, I tuned it, but as I tuned it, I started talking to them, and I did not stop. I mean, I literally talked the face off them. And I kept talking and engaging with them, keeping them busy. And now the thing is, if you've nobody to talk to this way, just put in headphones or talk to yourself about other stuff. So you get busy. And then what I did was I had the backing band set, so that when the student came on stage, they just were ready to play. And I mean, they sat down the seat. I went 1, 2, 3, go, and we started. There was no space for rumination, no space for like getting nervous. So that's the thing. And once they did it, they basically, they did it once. And yeah, were they nervous again? Yeah, they kind of were, but they did it once. Were they nervous playing that song again? No, because they done it once and it went down well. And that's the other thing. That's what's going on internally, externally, hang around afterwards. And if there's somebody there that's saying good stuff to you about what you played, ask them to tell you more, right? Just be like, cool, what did you like about the song? What did you like about this? And what that does is you leave the setting with good memories, positive feedback, you took care of the internal stuff, and you leave and everyone's happy. All right? I hope this helps. And not to say, look, I mess up at gigs still. There'll be mess ups, there'll be stuff that'll happen, but that's a good way to start. Look, I hope this helps. I could talk about the mindset stuff all day. Okay, Brian is asking, do I give private lessons? Yeah, I do indeed, Brian. Yeah. For anybody who wants to know more, just drop me an email, dave@theschoolofguitar.com. I'm currently booked out, but I do have a wait list, so if you want to hop on that, work away. Alrighty, let's see. Questions. Just going through all the avenues here. So folks, we've about 10 minutes left. If you have any other questions, ask away. Okay. Somebody asked me earlier, could I play Layla? I'll do that now. I'll play a little bit of one. Okay, so there we go. Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Okay, so there's two versions of Layla. There's and that's our power chords. I'll play this in that'd be another reason, William, not to get 13s. You couldn't be bending on the acoustic. Maybe there's our triads from earlier. It's just those are our par chords. So it's so funny, all these questions, they all kind of combine on the string. Okay. All right, folks, we're down to the last 10 minutes. Any other questions? Just post them in the chat. I'll be answering them. How to practice bar chords? Pick one. And keep in mind, bar chords are a strength and endurance exercise as well as a musical exercise. So pick one, and what you want to do is you want to take them as projects, and whichever ones you're learning. So let's say if you're learning a new bar chord shape, that isn't for songs yet. That's for learning. So just get the shape, get comfy with it, like that. Okay, so you can work with that. Then with the other ones you find easier, just start combining them up with other chords. And the thing then is your hand will get tired, so I would put bar chord practice first in my practice routine. Then when the muscles get tired, I just play open chords. And that way I can recover, I can keep playing, then I go back to bar chords in a while. Hope that helps. Let's check, is there any other up here? So what's everyone playing these days? What are you all learning? I heard some cool songs in the community. I know you're learning Going to California, William. And Brian, you were telling me you're learning Boulevard of Broken Dreams. That's really cool. Okay. Oh, very welcome, Brian. Very welcome. The Avirum. Oh, I haven't heard that one, Jack. Let's check it out. Class. It's crazy how quick things can go viral nowadays. Pass point to rescue. Hey Anne, how are you doing? Good to see your name pop up. I like that one, yeah. I like that one, yeah. Do you know what I'm going to touch on here, and I'll answer one more here. Where to keep and where to put the pressure, the fingers are playing pressing bar chords. Anushka, I have like a full-on 15-minute bar chord videos put up, right? If you search through my channel and just search bar chords, those two videos will really help, right? Like 15 minutes pure value, and they're actually from a course I did years ago, a paid course that I had. So if you want to check that out, and then I also have one, look up bar chord trick in YouTube. You should see me looking a bit like that, and there's a really good tip there that's helped a lot of players. So that'll help. C-shaped bar chord, I can speak to that, definitely, Jack. The trick with C-shaped bar chord is, first of all, you could try this one. Like, just aim to get it like this. Don't aim to get the index across all the way. Okay? So you're just going like that. And then when you get that finger position done, and you get comfy with that, then you could start thinking about the index. But even with the index, it's like regular bar chords. Just remember, it's that. This string, the G one here, is the only one, and the bottom one, that you have to press on. The rest is kind of just for show. Okay? So. Excellent. So, just a quick one. A question. I was talking with somebody earlier about like gigs. You're welcome, Jack. Gigs, getting set for a gig. Now, I'm doing a full-on video on this, but I just said I'd speak to it here. Excuse me. Okay. So, if you have a playing opportunity and you've taken one, and then you're like, oh my God, I actually have to do this. The first thing I'd say is, like, if you're playing like a 3-hour set, let's say I don't want to call it a marathon to make it sound like it's worse than it is. I'm going to use a marathon analogy or metaphor, or whatever this is. But if you train for a marathon, you'd be putting in the miles and you'd be training for the distances. So if you're doing a 3-hour set, one of the best things you could do to prepare for it is to start playing longer lengths at home and not practicing but performing. So like start with 30 minutes, start with an hour, start with just getting an hour. And if you did an hour, and for the voice as well, like I know I was speaking, I know we were speaking about like song choices and things like that. And my answer when I was talking with somebody about the 3-hour gig, a lot of my initial tips were around the voice. So that's where my mind goes. I'm like, the guitar, yeah, but the voice is so important. So that's the first thing I'd say. Start stretching out the songs. The second thing then is like the songs don't have to be like masterpieces. I've done gigs with players who've played 3 or 4 chords all night. The crowd don't mind. They're not looking for like fancy schmancy stuff. They're looking for stuff they can dance to and sing along to. And a lot of the times that's 4 chords. So that's what I'd say for a start. So I just spotted your message here. So yeah, that definitely. And if I was doing, I wouldn't necessarily play too many songs twice at a gig. Unless one went down. So I've done it a few times, and it was just one was out of interest to see would the crowd go equally like mad. The second time I played, and they did. But another time I ran out of songs. So yeah, I get it. What I do is I look for a song 1 degree away from the songs you currently do. So like here's an example, like Elvis. You ain't nothing but a honey dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a honey dog, crying all the. See what I mean? Now if I go like this, look around, look around, ooh-wee. Look around, look around, mighty fine. Do you see the way that like it sounded similar? Different words. And when you get your singing and playing to a certain level, you could be getting away with reading the words and the chords. And I don't know, are you planning to? But I've seen most bands nowadays have the words with them. There's no shame in it. We're kind of in an environment of screens, so it's people don't mind. So hope that helps. But I'm going to do a longer video on this week. I'm looking forward to that. Class Brian, a song by Prison War, a song by Gary Moore, Delhi. Oh, what a tune! Lovely chords. What age did I start playing guitar? I started playing guitar at 12. 12. But my age didn't really have as much to do with it as the practice. I taught a guy once, and he's now a guitar lecturer, all his own work. He's now a guitar lecturer in college, and he started when he was 16. And this guy, like in 2 years, he would have blown out of the water what I could do in 5. So I've seen students at later ages, and this guy, I noticed a lot of the same characteristics, the same behavioral patterns, the same practice habits between my story and his and other high-performing students I've taught. And the first thing is they made guitar their main thing. Some of these students didn't do sports, some of them didn't do much of other interests. They had other interests, but guitar was the one. They played in the morning, which meant that they're getting extra time in. They played for hours and hours and hours. So those would be a few things. Okay, I see your comment there, Hamid Riza. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Come here, hop onto my Instagram. I have a 5-day free 5-day beginner course. It gets you with 3 chords, very basic song, but it gives you step by step, so you get the foundations. It's free. If you want that, go to my Instagram, look up the School of Guitar, send me a DM, and I'll send you the course. All right. And that's the thing. You're saying you can barely play and nothing else matters, but a lot of stuff a lot of tutorials online will say this is a great one to start with. The best song to start with is one that'll get you 3 chords with a simple strum pattern, and you can take step by step. All right. Let me see. Is there anything else? Norwegian Wood. Is that the Beatles? Is that the one? Trying to think. Alrighty, we're nearly at the top of the hour here, so I'm going to do 1 or 2 more. What notes are in a C chord? C, E, and G. So that's your triad. Okay, not in my classical guitar position. And that's it. So the notes in this full C chord go C, E, G, C, and E. Okay, and some of them repeat, and that's because with chords, it's almost like a cake. If you add more flour to a cake, you still got the cake. Chocolate cake would say. You add more eggs to the cake, you will still have a chocolate cake. You add more C notes to a C chord, you still got a C chord. You add more E notes to a C chord, you've still got a C chord. You'll see some of them repeat. All right. Great. Okay, this will be the last question. So, but don't you press down on C, E, C notes when you play a standard open? I hope I answered this correctly. If I understand correctly, it is I'm pressing down on these notes, and the notes are, I'll go from the bottom this time. Goes or top C, E, G, C, and E. Now, if I press down on C, E, and C, this is what I get. Here's missing detail. It's missing. Okay. So, hope that helps. For anybody still here, thanks Vinny for making it again. I think this has been the third one we did live on YouTube now, which has been really cool. And it's, I think, the 27th one overall. I'm going to be here next Monday again. Of course, members get priority to ask questions at any time. So, if you're out there and you are struggling to learn guitar on your own and you want more accountability, you want the chance to ask a teacher a question at any stage, I know that when I went to guitar, I did lessons for, when he asked me, I started when I was 12 and I went to lessons. And the greatest value, as well as like being around other musicians, the greatest value in lessons was that I had an amazing teacher and this guy answered questions. So I came to him with questions and he'd answer them all. And then I'd be able to make these mini adjustments on my guitar journey. Because it's almost like on guitar we can get lost and we don't know we get lost until we've gone a mile the wrong way. And then we have to go back the way and unwire bad habits. And whereas if you have somebody to kind of go, listen, we're kind of headed this way now. We kind of need to adjust your guitar compass on your guitar journey. So if you want to check it out, I have an online membership. It's right now it's only $20 a month. And I'm in there the whole time. So if you want to check it out, all you need to do is go to theschoolofguitar.com. You'll find everything you need there. But until then, it's going to be same bat time, same bat channel next week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.